live. Big show for you tonight. Exciting news. We have a great controversy going on. Netflix just declared war on Dana White and the UFC. We're going to get into all that. Plus, the instant reaction to the MVP MMA card on Netflix. Jake Paul's MMA promotion. We're going to get into all that. We had a lot of big fights on the card. There's a lot of reasons that these fights happened in the specific way and order that they did. We're going to get into the business side of that as well. We're going to get deep into the weeds and what this means for the MMA landscape, for the fighters, and for you as a viewer of MMA. Guys, it's going to get crazy in the very near future. Also, make sure you follow Fight Circus, home of the freak show fights. And make sure you grab a real one shirt, but only if you're a real one, right? Not if you're a wimp or weenie, a nerd or a weirdo or anything like that. My name is King David MMA. I'm a professional MMA champion, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I coach at Extreme Couture, the greatest gym on the world. Francis Ngannou had a big fight tonight. He had a big win, big knockout victory on Netflix on potentially the biggest card in MMA history. And we're going to talk all about it. Let me take a sip of this caffeine right now. I'm on so much freaking caffeine today, guys. I started the day right off the bat, 4 energy drinks. Just bang them out. Then had like 2 more, right? And like 4 of these. It's called We're Getting Freaking Lit. First things first. Before I get to the first things first, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on because we go live at all different times. For example, we're going live 2-3 hours earlier than we did last night. No telling what I might do. But first things first, Izzy Slots is in the chat. He called it last night. He said Mike Perry via cut, doctor stoppage, corner stoppage. And I hadn't even thought of that possibility. But when he said it, I said, that's exactly right. If you guys were on last night's live, then you know that is the official fight prediction that we went with last night. So shout out to Izzy Slots for picking that one right. A shout out for me to co-sign on it, right? See, great minds think alike. If somebody has a great idea, it's okay, man. You could be like, wow, that's a great idea. Right? And just roll, like the better idea wins. And that was a great idea. Izzy Slots was absolutely right. Let's get right into it, guys. I want to talk about Ronda versus Gina at first, and then we're going to start with some other fights a little bit earlier in the card. Man, Ronda and Gina. I right before the fight, I posted on my Instagram story, I think Ronda can KO Gina. I was hoping Ronda would show us something different. I thought Ronda was going to go in there and bang. Because honestly, guys, I believe Ronda Rousey could have done whatever she wanted to Gina. But Ronda made like, what, 5-10 million for that fight? For fucking 15 seconds? Shout out to Ronda Rousey, man. She could have had the ski mask on, man. She robbed the freaking bank with that one. She got paid. She got millions and millions and millions of dollars. She didn't take a hit. And, if you're talking about prize fighting, then to a fighter, oftentimes that is the absolute pinnacle of a goal. So, man, Ronda did it. Ronda freaking did it. I don't have too much to say about that match, but in the group chat, people were saying that Ronda, they were like, look at all those tears. And then someone said you spelled tism wrong because they just kept crying and hugging each other. And Ronda looked like she's got the 2 leading traits that make someone great at martial arts, right? And if you guys know what those are, it's a bit of an inside joke in the MMA community. We're not going to get into that on the channel because I think you're not allowed to say either of those words. But yeah, people were saying she's got the two things required to be good at martial arts. Let me read the chat. What about the Ashley Green? Yeah, the little homie Ashley Green, one of the amateurs on the Extreme Couture team. She brought home a win. She fought in Utah. She fought a former amateur champion in Utah. It's her second fight, guys. She's 2-0, right? She might be fighting Ronda next. No telling what she might do, all right? Also, my former teammate, former Extreme Couture member, he's moved on to another gym, but I still fuck with him because he's my boy. Kenny Cross fought tonight. He did not get the result that we wanted. Man, that French KSW guy is good, guys. That KSW dude is the freaking truth. Man, that guy's like world class among world class because Kenny Cross is freaking good, guys. When I'm telling you, Kenny can beat dudes in the top 15 in the UFC, I'm not playing with you. And that guy liver shotted, dude. That was fucking nuts. I've seen Kenny Cross train a lot. I've never seen anybody do that to him. I'm talking UFC guys, lots of guys. I've never seen that happen to him. That French KSW guy is freaking legit. We're gonna get into some drama as well, but before we do, man. So there were several Brazilians on this card, but what American fans don't often understand is that when it comes to MMA viewership, America is big. Sometimes Brazil is number 2 or even more viewers than USA when it comes to fights. So, for instance, Anderson Silva would fight in Brazil, and because of the way their channels are set up, even though it was a pay-per-view in America, the UFC would be free on TV in Brazil, the way they had their TV deal done. So at any given time, Anderson Silva was fighting. Half of the households in Brazil, that's like 30 million houses, were watching Anderson Silva. It might have even got as high as 60 million at times. So when people go, this Netflix card might be the most viewed card in history. Well, part of that is because they put Brazilians on the card like Junior Dos Santos. Junior Dos Santos has a huge following in Brazil. He's a former UFC champion. He's the fucking man. And he fought that Cuban fucking Taekwondo expert, the bronze medalist. Man, that was a fucking brutal knockout. Brutal. So when you're seeing them put like Linz on the card and you're seeing put Dos Santos on the card, sometimes that matchmaking isn't because that is the actual fight. Like, for instance, a lot of people probably didn't want to see Francis Ngannou fight specifically Linz, right? But Linz is Brazilian, so he brings the Brazilian market along with Dos Santos, along with Alex Pereira's sister, and now they got a Brazilian market. So there's multiple Brazilian fighters, which keeps the viewers engaged longer over the card so that they can stack those numbers, right? So it's a very strategic play. And some people don't even realize that Jake Paul's partner used to work for the UFC. He was a strategic partner for the UFC. He was brought in as like head of strategy under Lorenzo Fertitta. So when you're seeing the way the card is lined up, the way that Ronda and Gina are the headliner, which brings in more sponsors, which brings in more opportunities, which could in fact be the exact reason why they actually got on Netflix, because some of these other fights, as much as we want to watch them, might not be what Netflix is looking for. But when you put 2 strong female leads at the top of the card, with the women's sports movement going the way it is, with the programming that Netflix likes to put on their platform, well, now all of a sudden that door gets opened. You put the Brazilians on the card, the Brazilian viewership comes in, and now you're stacking a card which could potentially be the biggest card in MMA history. Now, did they do it? We're going to find out. They're going to probably report, somebody's going to report that they did it, but when the real numbers come out, then we'll know. And hopefully we get the real numbers. All right. So on to the next card, and this is going to lead us directly into the controversy. This is where the war began, because it was a bit of a battle. Ronda was calling out the UFC. Ronda was calling out Hunter Campbell. She was saying that MVP and Jake Paul, they're fighter first. Nikisa's fighter first, that this Netflix card is fighter first, and that UFC has an archaic business model, which is basically keeping the fighters oppressed, right? Well, the number 1 freedom fighter himself, my teammate at Extreme Couture, Francis Ngannou, was on the card. He got a violent KO. Boom! KO'd the guy. And thankfully, he didn't follow up with ground and pound because that dude was out. He KO'd Linz pretty significantly, and the ground and pound would have been really bad there. But Ngannou is like the number 1 freedom fighter of all because he fought his contract out. Not only did he like escape Africa from working in a sand mine and then like journeying, hiking through the Sahara Desert and taking truck rides where he's in the back of a truck and they just paid a guy to drive and it's just bouncing up and down and you got to hold on and you're going through the night through Africa to try and escape and your documentation is not legal in certain countries. And he went all the way, he got himself to France. So not only did he escape the freaking sand mines, then he comes to UFC and he escapes his UFC contract by fighting it out with a torn ACL. So now he's the shining example of how to get the fuck out of the contract, right? This plays in because they had Jon Jones on the broadcast. This is what I'm saying when I'm saying that they have declared that Netflix has and Jake Paul have declared war on Dana White and the UFC. They have a signed UFC athlete, the baddest dude on the planet, Jon Jones, on their Netflix broadcast. They are a competitor to Jon Jones' employer, and they are talking about, Jon, get out of your contract and come over here. Francis Ngannou wants Jon Jones to get out of his UFC contract and come fight him. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that if one company is talking to a signed fighter in another company, that's probably in some places something that some lawyer could call illegal and then would have to be taken in front of a judge. I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm just saying that there's a lawyer out there that would perceive that as illegal and then they would have to go to some form of litigation. Because you're not, as a promoter, you're not supposed to contact another fighter who's signed to a different promoter. That's a crime, guys. So the fact that they had Jon Jones up there talking about contracts, the fact they had Tyron Woodley telling Jon Jones, hey, pay the legal fees, have Nikisa and Jake Paul pay your legal fees to get you out of your contract so you can come fight Francis. On camera, on air, a signed fighter on another rival promotion on air, on Netflix, millions of viewers watching what some people would say, in a way, Jon Jones has probably signed his intellectual property rights, his likeness rights, his name rights away for the time being to the UFC. UFC could make a legal case that they control Jon Jones's likeness rights. Now he's on another platform, competitor to them, and they are highlighting him, interviewing him, and doing an entire segment with their heavyweight, who's a former UFC athlete, Francis Ngannou, where they're essentially going back and forth on the mic, getting at each other and talking about a fight while he's under contract. That's fighting words. So then UFC fires back. UFC had something in their back pocket. They were holding it back and they weren't going to release it. They were going to hold on to it because when you first tuned into Netflix, the crowd, there was no crowd. Nobody showed up for the undercard. So UFC's holding on to this. And I've been around the UFC marketing director when she gets the text from Dana to release the poster for the next fight. So when Max Holloway KO'd Justin Gaethje after he pointed to the ground, Dana sent her a text, drop the poster. And the poster was Conor McGregor versus Mike Chandler. She drops the poster, boom, it goes spread out over the internet because it's from the official UFC page. So I know for a fact from firsthand experience, hanging out with the marketing director, how this goes down. So I'm sure she's sitting there. They're watching the Netflix card. Someone in the back, Dana's probably not actually watching. Somebody's like, hey, man, nobody's there, bro. It sucks. And then Jon Jones pulls up and they start interviewing Jon Jones and they go, Dana, we have a problem. Jon Jones is on the fucking Netflix card talking about fighting. And then Dana, I'm 99.9999% sure, texted the marketing director, drop the poster. Boom, she drops the poster. It's called counter programming. So now they're counter programming the heat of the Netflix card because the Netflix card started filling up. John Jones is on the Netflix card. Now we're getting knockouts, and Ngannou got a vicious knockout. Now, as we're going through the card, the Cuban Taekwondo dude, right? He's calling out Ngannou. The card is gathering momentum. In order to counteract that, the poster dropped. Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway, the rematch, right? And so that's to steal the narrative away from the Netflix card. That's to steal the narrative away from Francis versus John Jones. Can't John get out of his contract? John wants out of his contract. He said so on Netflix. He literally said that, right? So that's real bad. So now, in order to silence all that, Dana fires back. Boom, drop the flyer. Conor McGregor's return. It's signed. So this is great for Conor because they were probably going back and forth as to Conor's worth to the company now that the pay-per-view model has absolved and there's no more pay-per-views, right? So Conor's like, hey, I'm worth this. And they're like, we don't think you're worth that. We're going to keep you on ice. Well, guess what? Now Netflix pulls up and they're trying to poach fighters. Right? So as they're gaining market share, Dana, the UFC, the brass over there need to do something. That probably expedited Conor actually getting a fight and getting signed. Now they have counter programming and they can attack back. Guys, let me read the chat real quick. It's fucking picking up. Let's fucking go. All right. Ayo, real ones are here. Yeah, man, real ones in the building. Make sure you guys get your real one shirts, but like no Buster Browns, bro. Like, I swear if I see a freaking dork or a squirrel neck or a pencil neck geek wearing a real one shirt, I will take it off you and refund you on the spot. You can't wear it. It's for real ones only. I'm being serious. Like, okay. Let's catch the early show. Yeah, you know, the early show vibes. Let's go. All right. They also made the McGregor announcement right when the Ngannou fight was starting. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like, Ngannou's over here fighting, and now the McGregor announcement drops. Right? They're trying to, right? Now this is the battle beyond the battle, right? There's the fights that are happening. They actually had a UFC card tonight, and the Netflix card is going on simultaneously. And the UFC is trying to counter program against the guy that got away, Francis Ngannou, the UFC champion who bounced with the belt. And now they're dropping the Conor McGregor news to counter program that. It's fucking getting heated, guys. All right. You got to make max money for the real ones shirt and XL. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, you're saying that the real one shirt cannot be above XL. Well, for sure, the women's shirts can't go up to XL. That's for sure, right? The real one shirts, you gotta be like a slim. You know what I mean? Because I can't have a bunch. Like, first of all, I shouldn't even have real one shirts because the only real one I'm concerned about is my girlfriend, yo. You know what I mean? But anyways, yeah. So the max size on the chick shirts should be not excellent. No, but we love the show, bro. Hey, let's freaking go. No XXL, triple XL, quadruple X. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Maybe what if Larry Wheels pulls up to Extreme Couture and asks for a real one shirt, bro? I'm just playing. He's got to learn how to choke somebody out before he gets a real one shirt. Larry Wheels, you cannot get a real one shirt until you choke somebody out that's got some form of credentials. Okay? Don't come up to Extreme Couture, get balled up, and ask for a real one shirt, bro. It's not going down like that, bro. I don't care if you got 5 million followers. Shirts are exclusive, bro. You know what I mean? Just like the limited edition Fight Circus shirt. You can't even get these. You can't even get these. This is the limited felony Charles Bennett Cash App mugshot run. This got banned by Bare Knuckle FC. They wouldn't even let felony walk out in this. They had red tape over the Fight Circus, man. Those are banned. Internationally banned by Bare Knuckle FC. Can't even wear those, even though that's his sponsor. You can't wear. They said no, bro. Banned. You can't get that shirt, right? We got exclusive joints over here, guys. I'm not playing around. All right, so John Jones was way out of pocket. Way out of pocket. I don't know what the UFC is going to do about that guy, man. That's crazy. I believe they should have had John Jones on the UFC White House card. Who the fuck knows what's going on behind the scenes? Now, we're going to get into this. Netflix was struggling. The knockouts were great, but the arena was fairly empty. So ticket sales didn't go the way they hoped. They hoped they would have a sold out show. They didn't have a sold out show. And then they had the Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner moment, which was the Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry fight. That's the fight that popped off where people started texting each other. Yo, bro, are you watching Netflix? Yo, bro, you watching the Nate Diaz fight? Bro, are you watching Mike Perry, man? He looks like a... Dude, is that guy got Neanderthal blood? He's walking with his hands down and his chest out at Nate Diaz, fucking throwing vicious body shots. That was crazy. And then did you see Mike Perry's elbows? Guys, if you haven't seen that fight got bloody. There was a pool of blood on Nate Diaz's back from his head, man. It was like in his like shoulder spinal area, man. Dude, that fight was fucking nuts. And then Nate said he wants the rematch. Out of all people to call out, he wants the rematch. That's wild. Shout out to Nate freaking Diaz. Nate can get a real one shirt. Okay, after that, he could get a real one shirt. So can Mike Perry. They earned it, guys. That fight just solidified. That specific fight alone just solidified Netflix renewing the deal with MVP. So now we have a competitor in the marketplace because of Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. So the business model that Nikisa and Jake Paul have cooked up. Nikisa coming over from the UFC, being the director of strategy for the UFC under Lorenzo Fertitta, and now he's working with Jake Paul. He put the Brazilians on the card to secure the biggest audience possible, like 30 to 60 million viewers. He put Ngannou on the card to illustrate freedom fighting and that they have the best heavyweight on the planet. They can make that argument until John Jones fights him. You know, Ngannou left with the belt. So they have that argument. Also, they had Ronda and Gina opening doors, like getting them on Netflix and getting them big money sponsors and brands and partnerships behind the scenes. And then they have Nate Diaz and Mike Perry to deliver to the fans what the fans are looking for. So overall, the card, that's the way it was stacked, right? It was very strategic. So now they're doing that. They got John Jones on there. He's saying he wants out of his contract. Those are direct shots at the UFC. And is the UFC going to fire back in any other way other than the Conor McGregor announcement drop? So here's the problem for the UFC. They say when you're number one, you should never address number two. They say when you're number two, you should always fire at number one. So let's say Pepsi is always saying they're better than Coke. We're better than Coke. Taste test. We're better than Coke. We're better than Coke, right? They say that. Pepsi can say that. Coke, as the brand leader in the category, should never acknowledge Pepsi because now you're elevating them to your level by acknowledging them. So the UFC is going to get asked questions about Netflix, and they should most likely respond with like, dude, hey, man, you know, people can do whatever they want. We've seen a lot of cards come and go, guys. I'm happy for those guys. Like very, very chill. If they start pointing attention at the Netflix card in any way, like, hey, man, they want to put John Jones on there. They think they're going to get John Jones. We'll watch them not get John Jones. Now they're giving Jake more ammunition. See, man, they lock guys in. We're trying to be fighter first. They're locking guys in. Dana's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So the Netflix card, the team that they've assembled, is playing a strategy game, trying to get the UFC to fire back at them. And the UFC subtly did it with the Conor McGregor poster drop, but most people didn't even realize it. Nobody noticed that that was counter programming. They didn't have to drop that. They could have held on to that. They could have dropped that later, but they dropped it tonight. Why? To fucking suck the air out of the room. right? To steal the fucking thunder from Netflix, to get everybody talking about fucking Connor instead of talking about Francis, instead of talking about Nate, instead of talking about Mike Perry, and instead of talking about Ronda and Gina, right? So, as quick as that fight was, there are some people that are going to talk about that. So, anyways, let me read the chat. They did zero drug testing for that Netflix card. Love it. Yeah, so that's okay, that's the next subject. how freaking what are we gonna call it? Mogged. How freaking mogged did Mike Perry look? He's over there after he won, he's just fucking flexing. Like, I can feel my own muscles, right? Mogging, right? So, yeah, I thought that as well. And if you are confirming that they did no drug testing, like, that's kind of awesome. So now we've got the drug tested UFC and we've got the fucking enhanced games Netflix card where everybody's coming in the best shape they've looked in fucking a decade. These dudes are out here fucking frame mogging, looking juiced to the gills. They're fucking looks max, peptided up. You know what I mean? We got a solid competitor now. And because of the Nate versus Mike Perry fight, they're going to renew their contract and Netflix is going to go again with MMA. They're already starting to talk about what's next. They're talking about bringing Gina back. They're talking about Nate versus Mike Perry rematch. I would imagine, I don't know if it's true or not, Nick Diaz might be a free agent. He might pull up. Maybe he wants to get revenge for his brother. No telling what might go on, guys. They got fucking options. And they have some of the top unknown fucking warriors possible. The fucking KSW dude, that guy could be a fucking star. That guy's really good. Really good. Man, on even the undercard, man, the dude, Chris Avila, he fought Brandon Jenkins. Brandon Jenkins should have called out Nate, hey, I beat up your teammate, I'm gonna beat you up next. Not that Nate would fight him, but at least get your name in the convo, bro. They got a lot of options, man. They have some exciting fucking fights. And if everybody's juicing the gills, bro, we're gonna see some crazy shit coming out. I'm excited to see the next card. I'm glad that the card was successful. I was concerned when I saw the attendance, but when the fucking Mike Perry and Nate Diaz fight popped off, I literally texted the owner of Fight Circle. I was all like, dude, this is their Bonner versus Griffin moment, bro. This is they just re-signed. Netflix renewed the deal right now because of that. So, anyways, guys, I want to pop on here with an instant reaction and remind you guys, Ariel Helwani is chopped. That's got nothing to do with anything we discussed tonight, but that guy's corny and a dork. So, anyways, the other guy got on the mic and shouted out Ali Abdelaziz right in front of Ariel. So that's a little side beef going on. But I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. I love you guys. And make sure you got notifications on because no telling when we might go live. And I might just kick, 30 minutes of quick business, MMA, backstory info for you. All right.